Hello and welcome to the Officer Training for 2024 to 2025 academic year. Before we begin, I believe some introductions are in order. So my name is Adam Peagle and I am here to support you. I am the Student Representation Coordinator and I look after both officers and reps. You can usually find me working Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can also get in touch with me via Microsoft Teams or shoot me an email at adam.peagle@derbyunion.co.uk. Whether you have questions, ideas, or just want to chat, I'm here and I'm eager to connect. So before we get into the main training, I just wanted to go over what the union is and the many different ways that we are there for your academic experience. So what is the union? We are a completely separate organisation to the university, and we're led by you, the students, to represent your academic interests, both to the university and nationally with the help of the National Union of Students. We're also a registered charity, so any profits that we do make are invested back into the union to help us fund our services. One of the main ways that we are there to support you is through Student Voice. We represent you at every level, with our reps representing students at a programme level, education officers representing students at a school or college level, EDI officers representing the wide variety of students that make up the university, and PAL leaders who support first years into integrating into university life. Now, what a lot of students do know us for is food and drink. We offer a wide variety of food and drink services across the university, including blends, base camp, campus kitchen, and the university shops. We also offer a wide variety of activities to partake in as a student, whether it's one of our many sports teams, societies, or one of our student-led services. There's something for everyone out there. So one of the most important areas that is very relevant to your role as an officer, we have an advice service. It is completely free, independent and confidential, and they help in a wide variety of areas. Whether it's disciplinary action, they can help support any student going through disciplinary action. They also cover housing contracts, they cover welfare, they cover a large spectrum of different areas for support for students. Like I said, we are student-led, and one of the ways we are student-led is with our officer trustees. They are slightly different to you as student officers, mainly because they were elected into full-time position by the students to represent them at the highest levels possible. First of all, we have the VP Activities, and that is Gabby. She works closely with the university to create a unified approach to sports, aiming to boost participation, representation, and excellence. Her job is all about supporting the union sports, societies, and student-led services, and promoting events to get everyone involved. If you do want to speak to Gabby, you can email her at vpactivities@derbyunion.co.uk, or you can message her on Teams. Next, we have Purnami, who is our VP Education. I should add that it is her first year as VP Education, whereas all the other VPs are continuing from last year. Purnami represents you to the University of Students' highest levels on all things education, whether it's on a local, regional, or national level. And her job is to make sure your voice is heard when it comes to academic issues across all of our campuses. I should add she also looks after student reps and officers along with myself. So if I'm not available, please feel free to contact Purnami while I'm away. If you do want to speak to Purnami, you can email her at vpeducation@derbyunion.co.uk, or you can find her on Teams. For those of you that are EDI officers, Jack, the VP Welfare, is probably the officer trustee who relates most to you and will be able to support you in your role. His role is all about supporting your welfare and well-being. He works to raise awareness of the various support services available to you, both within the university and the union, as well as our external resources. He collaborates with the university on issues that affect your well-being and represent the welfare needs of all students at the University of Derby, including further education students on a local, regional and national level, whether it's mental health, physical health, or any other aspect of your well-being, he's there to ensure that you have the support you need. And if you have any questions for him, you can contact him at vpwelfare@derbyunion.co.uk, or you can find him on Teams. I should add as well, if you're ever at the Kedleston Road campus, the officers' trustees do have an office located in the main atrium. Their door is always open, so feel free to walk in and speak to them. And it's located right next door to the Kedleston Road shop. Finally, we have the president, which is Holly. She oversees the union and everything we do. She's the go-to person for any questions about the union's governance and the main representative between the union and the local and wider community, including all official events. I should also add, she was the VP Education last year, so if myself or Ponami are not available, she will also be able to support you as she has a lot of knowledge in that area. If you do want to speak to her, you can email her at president@derbyunion.co.uk or find her on Teams, where you can reach out for support and guidance. So, you've been elected as a student officer, but what does that mean? Student officers are essential representatives at the University of Derby, working to amplify the voice of our student body. And here's just a quick overview of what you need to know about your role. You will be representing students. As an officer, you will represent your fellow students in specific areas like education or EDI. You'll attend events. This position comes with invites to certain events for you to attend and sometimes participate in. You'll collect feedback. You'll engage with smaller groups of students to gather their feedback and concerns. And there's so many different ways you can gather feedback, whether it's through speaking to people face-to-face, having meetings, having sessions, or even putting out polls, posting on social media, posting on the union website. There are so many ways, and we can find the way that works best for you. And you'll also be expected to attend meetings with the union and the university to discuss the insights and issues raised by the students that you represent. This section is only for EDI officers, so if you are an education officer, please feel free to skip ahead to your section. So as an EDI officer, you will be part of the EDI Council. These are just some of the positions that make up the council. So you will be attending the EDI Council up to 4 times a year. This is a space where you can share the feedback from your students directly with the group, and it's designed to ensure that your voices are heard and your concerns are addressed and that they're taken to the right people. If you can't attend, it's no worries. Just provide 3 pieces of feedback for the chair or VP welfare to deliver on your behalf. What happens next? Your feedback will be taken to the EDIW University Committee by the Chair or VP Welfare to ensure it reaches the right people and gets the attention it deserves. There are university networks, and the university has its own EDI networks that you're invited to attend. It's a place designed for you to provide feedback to the university from the students that you represent. Your role may actually be part of more than one university EDI committee or group. These are the different roles that go into the different meetings, committees, and groups. So I'll leave that up on the screen just for a moment so you can have a look to spot yours. Okay, this next section is just for education officers. So if you're EDI, feel free to skip ahead to the All of Us section. So as education officers, you come under the academic representation structure. As an officer, you will be the voice and advocate for over 24,000 students at the University of Derby, ensuring their needs and concerns are heard and addressed. I should say you're not representing all 24,000. You'll be representing the amount that make up the group of students you represent. There are over 450 student reps who will be providing feedback to the rep portal. You will have access to this feedback, especially when it gets closer to passing on trends and feedback and statistics that you need. There will also be very useful contacts for you to gather representation and insights into what students are talking about on their courses. In total, there are 16 education officers, each tasked with championing their distinct academic domains within our university community. At the very end of the academic representation structure, you have the chairs and vice president education, and they are the forefront of amplifying community voices, ensuring that critical feedback reaches the highest tiers of our university leadership. This is the Education Council and all the different roles that make up the council itself. There are 4 meetings a year, and they tend to be scheduled a week before the Learning and Teaching Committee, where the feedback is brought to the higher levels. They are in September, November, February, and May. If you can't make it to the meeting, no worries at all. Just send over 3 pieces of feedback and we'll make sure your voice is heard. Expect the agenda to be sent over ahead of time so you can come prepared to the meetings and ready to engage. Any updates or important documents will be sent out through the Student Officers Teams page, so stay connected and keep an eye out there. And during these meetings, you'll be presenting your feedback, hearing from guest speakers, and voting on any policies or issues that come up through the academic year. So this is the All of Us section, and this is information that is relevant to both education and EDI officers. When it comes to collecting feedback, these are just 2 of the other ways that you can collect student feedback. One of them is Facebook groups. Some student officers in the past have found benefits of having a Facebook page. However, in recent years, Facebook pages have not been as active. If you believe this will be of use to you and your role, we can help set one up. Just get in contact with myself and I'll be there to help set up a page, give it the official branding, and we'll get that shared out. However, Jack, the current VP Welfare, is working on a system to replace this with a page on the union website for students to contact you and for you to post to. It'll be like our very own Facebook, forum, Twitter, any of the other social medias, but it's just a place for students to be able to post to and get responses from the officers themselves. There are also officer societies, and they're an incredible resource for engaging with students about your role. There are already some societies that might align with your interests, so if there isn't one yet and you're passionate about creating one, the activities team is more than willing to assist you in establishing it. Next, we have the Ideas Forum, and it's a great way for you to find out the support you can gather for the different ideas that you have. Any student can submit an idea for change, or they can even vote or comment on existing ideas. They can also submit anonymously. However, if you are submitting, you will have to have your name next to it, as it will have to do with your officer role. The way it works is you get up votes and down votes, and you need a score of at least 25 to be considered by the union officer trustees to be able to see if your idea is feasible. The more votes you get, the more likely your idea is going to pass, and the strength of support we get behind the ideas. This is an amazing example of an officer and students using the Ideas Forum and gathering support for one of their ideas. It was a community food pantry, and the students rallied, campaigning passionately to garner votes, and it ended up becoming the most widely supported initiative in our forum's history. I should add, you shouldn't expect people just to vote for your idea just because you posted it. If you really want the support behind your idea, do what the officer and the students who made this idea did, and that is to go out to talk to students to gather support and get them to go and vote for your ideas. You can't force them to vote for your ideas, but you can speak to them about the ideas that you have and explain to them why you think that will be good for them and see if you can persuade them to vote. When it comes to gathering feedback, it's the most important part of your role. If you are a chair, you'll do this via your members on your different committees, but the process is basically the same. First of all, you will gather the feedback from your groups, you'll present the ideas at the relevant meetings, and you'll communicate the actions back to your students. But where do you take certain feedback? If it's individual feedback, that is issues relating to you or your course or personal circumstances, such as grades, disciplinary action, or well-being, you can go to the Union Advice Service, you can go to your personal academic tutor, you can go to the university's wellbeing team, or libraries and careers. If it's issues that are affecting groups of students within your area, this is where you take feedback relating to your role, e.g. accessibility, or it may have to do with your college or school or so on. First of all, if it's relating to their course, you may want to get involved with their student rep. You may want to take it further to the college student forums. I'll be getting into those in just a moment. You may want to take it forward to the EDI or education councils. Or if you're not sure what to do with it, you can bring it to me in our one-to-ones. I'll be getting into those in just a little bit. If it's institutional level, so that's issues affecting the wider student population and beyond who you represent, such as buses, library opening times and catering, send them to the Ideas Forum. Any student can post on the Ideas Forum, and if they get the support, they may be able to pass the ideas they have. You can take the feedback forward to the EDI or Education Council, and then if it is relevant, it will be taken to the right people. You can take it forward to the executive officers, so the VPs and president, or you can bring it up at the college student forums. In your role, please feel free to set boundaries. Boundaries are healthy when it comes to this. When it comes to student well-being, sometimes students will get emotional over certain issues, especially if it's ones that are personally affecting them. So if you have any students or reps that are coming to you regarding welfare for help, well-being for help, please kindly guide them to the Union Advice Team or the Wellbeing Centre. They're equipped to provide the professional support and resources needed. This one affects mainly the education officers, but sometimes students still might come to EDI officers too. If you're asked to proofread or help with an assignment, that is not your role, and providing incorrect information could reflect poorly on you. Please direct any inquiries regarding proofreading or help with assignments to the module leader, as your role is just to gather feedback. Formal complaints. If a student comes up to you with a formal complaint about a member of staff, please send them to the Union Advice Services. They'll be able to take them through the official formal complaint procedure. The university will not deal with any complaints that aren't taken through official procedures. Now, I have to say this was the most fun I had making this PowerPoint because I got to put on a bunch of different hats onto myself. But in your role, you will have many different metaphorical hats that you have to wear when talking as an officer. So if you're in a meeting and you have to bring up statistics and data that you've gathered as an officer, you should use as an officer on behalf of the students I represent, X number have stated. But then if you are to bring up anything to do with your personal circumstances or your experience as a student, you'd need to put on your metaphorical student hat and start the feedback by saying, as a student, I personally think. And if you're a chair, it's basically the same. As a chair, I have to say. This is basically to cover you, and also if there requires any statistics or feedback being shown to them, it shows you where that you got the feedback from. At the Union, we cover a wide range of campaigns and history months. I'll leave that on the screen just for a moment. But if you may be asked to get involved with some of these if they are relevant to your role. But if there are any that we don't have that you think we should, please get in contact and I will speak to the marketing team to see if there's any possibility of getting those added. You have the flexibility to organise both online and in-person events to engage with your students that you represent or those from your school. Here are some of the ideas for what you can have. You may want to host a campaign event where you can focus on key points from your manifestos. This is a great way to share your vision and gather the support from the students, especially if you have an idea on the Ideas Forum. You may want to hold a social. These events are perfect for getting your face out there and connecting with students in a more casual setting. And don't worry, I'm not expecting you to be a professional party planner. I'm there to support you every step of the way when it comes to organising these events. You may want to post articles to the Union website. If you do, it should be related to your role as an officer or your personal experience as a student. It shouldn't be related to anything out of the blue, like if you're also being paid to promote nightclubs, that's not allowed to be presented on the Union website. But if you do post anything, whether it's related to one of the campaign months you may have, maybe an activity, maybe a big change that you've managed to implement, please make sure to send it to the marketing to proofread, as they'll be the ones posting it. Or if you don't know how to contact marketing, please contact myself. And if it has to be posted by a certain date, especially if it's relating to a certain event, please send it to them a week in advance because they need the time to be able to proofread it and then add any pictures, special designs, and so on. When it comes to student forums, there are two main student forums that you can attend as an officer. The first one is the college forums. They are being revamped at the moment, but basically it will allow you to sit on a panel talking to the deans and deputy deans of the university. When you are talking to them, again, please wear your metaphorical hats of, I'm going to have to put on my officer hat and say, as an officer, blah, blah, blah. Or if you're putting anything forward as a student, I have to say. They're a great way to talk to the deans and deputy deans of the different schools and colleges. So please look out for those. I will be posting about them when they're coming close to date. The other good student forums for you to attend are there is one that comes with RepCon, which is an event I hold for the student reps. You will also be invited to those events to attend. And it's where Kath Mitchell, the Vice Chancellor, the highest position at the university, sits on a panel with the entire VCE, and they take your feedback, they answer your questions, and they're very keen to do these. However, we only have one a year, and that is at RepCon. That happens in November. I am looking to try and get a second one added this year, later on in the academic year, because once you're in November, you will have obviously more feedback that you wish to pass on later on in the academic year, possibly February, March time. So I am looking to try and get that sorted, so we may possibly have two this year. It just depends on the VC's availability. One-to-ones, we have a minimum of 3 per year, and ideally it should be once per term. If you need more, don't hesitate to reach out. Like I say, my door is always open. In these meetings, we'll discuss actions and development plans and to ensure you're on track and supported. Together, we'll go through your manifesto points to check progress and make adjustments as needed. We'll identify any support or resources you might need to achieve your goals. And also, if you have any ideas but you're not sure about them, you'll be able to bounce them off me and we'll be able to discuss them in detail. You'll soon be asked to book a one-to-one with Adam to discuss your manifesto points and how to achieve them this academic year. In this meeting, we'll create the development plan that includes events, campaigns, training, and other opportunities for you to be involved with. And these can be requested by myself, a VP, or yourself at any time. When it comes to staying in contact, the main form of contact would be over Teams, so make sure to keep checking Teams regularly, even if you don't use it as part of your usual university life. I will often email you as well, so keep an eye out on your emails. You do also have an email inbox provided by the union, so make sure to check that regularly. Every week, as soon as the academic year begins, I will be posting an update on a variety of things, including those that are related to your role, opportunities that you can participate in, and just general things that are happening at the union. When it comes to your student officer email, it should only be used in your role as student officer, so please don't sign up to a bunch of websites with it. It is an inherited inbox, so there may be messages to or from your predecessors. Be mindful that some of the information could be confidential or sensitive. Always use it when students ask to contact you in regards to your officer role. Don't give them your student or personal email or your personal phone number or your personal social media. I did that when I was a student rep and I highly regretted it. You're allowed to have boundaries. Otherwise, they're going to be messaging you late at night. They expect you to respond. And at least when it's through the official union email, we can officially track it and you can put forward any complaints and so on if someone does anything inappropriate. Login details will be shared with you privately by myself. If you haven't had them yet, please contact me and I'll be able to double check to see if we can send them over to you. Make sure to check the email regularly for messages and reply where appropriate. Utilize the automatic response function. You're allowed to have a break once in a while and you're not expected to check this 24/7. So by having the automatic response, you can have a message to say, sorry, I'm not checking my emails at the moment. I will be checking them again on this date. You may have certain days that you want to check your emails. You may have, I would always recommend to not check your emails over the weekend. That's your time. But basically set a message that basically gives students realistic expectations as to when you will respond to them. And if you're having any issues or are struggling to manage multiple inboxes, please let me know and I'll be there to support you. There are many awards and rewards that you get for being a student officer. The first being that your role is recorded on your HERE report. So HERE isn't really advertised well by the university, but it's an official document you get as soon as you graduate. It comes with your diploma, and it's an official document that records every extracurricular activity that you've done during university, whether that's you've won an award, you've attended a society committee, you've been a student rep, a student officer. All of these are recorded on your HERE report, and some companies do like them as they are an official report of every extracurricular thing that you've done, and it is physical evidence. There's also the Education Awards. I should add that some of you may be invited or may want to attend the other award ceremonies that we host, as they may be more relevant to your role. But the Education Awards is for everyone. And this award ceremony is all about recognising and honouring excellence in learning and teaching, giving both staff and students the chance to take a step back and appreciate all the amazing things we have achieved. And there are awards that are designated just for the officers. So there is a chance for you winning an award. As you can see in the background, there's one of the trophies that you can win. There's also certificates for runners-up. Some people will get chocolates, Prosecco, or no Secco if they don't drink. So there's a lot to win on that night. It's a lot of fun. And I should say, make sure to keep an eye out for when nominations open. You can nominate your friends, you can nominate your favourite lecturer, maybe even a member of staff at the university, whether it's one of the canteen people, a barista, one of the security library staff. There's so many different people, even the union as well. So if you do want to nominate anyone, you can nominate as many people as you want in these awards. And I have to say, it is a fun night. There is food put on and everyone goes nice and dressed up. And finally, we've got engagement reports. At the end of each month, you will need to complete your monthly engagement report. It's a short form with only a few questions and some boxes for free text. It would only take a few minutes to complete. If it's taking you more than a few minutes, you're overthinking it. I will go through the reports and get a log of what you have been doing within your role, and this contributes to the level of reward you'll achieve in the Student Officer Reward Scheme. The Student Officer Reward Scheme is something I'm working on over the summer, as the current one is a bit outdated and needs overhauling. So once the academic year begins, I'll share the reward scheme with you, and basically the amount of work you do as an officer will be recorded and you will level to certain awards, whether that's a LinkedIn recommendation, a certificate, it may be even university merch. There's so many different things that could be up for grabs. Right, so that is the end of the student officer training. If you have any questions at all, feel free to shoot me a message and I'll be able to answer them. And I look forward to working with you this academic year. Thank you and goodbye.